Hi everyone, this is a little recap now after the day trading day, so to speak, is over with. For me, I like to trade. When I day trade, I like enter new positions. If it's a swing trade, I'll enter new positions and hold them a few days. For a day trade, I'll be in and out usually by 11:30, unless the market's really going strong that day. And this is a day before bank earnings and earnings season kicks off tomorrow morning, so the market's kind of in a holding pattern right now. And, if the market gets wind of really strong earnings on banks for tomorrow morning, maybe we'll trend higher later on this afternoon, but, I wouldn't bet on that. But yeah, this morning I was talking about AAOI. Yesterday in the video, we talked about how Applied Optoelectronics pre-announced earnings the past 2 quarters to the upside, and that they may do it again. And with Kohu reporting a big beat earlier in the week, I mentioned that, and very luckily, they did it this morning, and unfortunately, it didn't get high enough, and this pre-market pattern here wasn't strong enough to do an earnings eruptions trade. But there was, that long-term uptrend. I know the stock real well, and we had this rounding pattern right here. So instead of getting in the open, what I did was I waited for this rounding pattern to develop here, and I got in just above this high right here in a 5-minute candle. And on a day trade, I didn't take a big position on this morning because I've got a big long-term position with the 3 stocks to wealth strategy that we teach on Tradetobefree.com. We've got some free training videos on the site if you haven't checked that out yet. But this is one of our biggest positions in the newsletter, which you can join on the site. And so with that, and we also have a swing trade on this for several days now that's doing really nicely. So I didn't want to, go too big. I don't want to put too much in any one trade. And, but this looked pretty good here. So I jumped in, and with this kind of trade, when you see this rounding bottom pattern, early in the morning like this, what I'll do is I'll, go in above the VWAP here and above the a strong 5-minute candle, which is right here after the pullback, and then put a stop below the prior low in the trend and just see how it plays out. And, given the earnings beat and the beat in the top line, the bottom line, and with Kohu doing really well in the rebound in semiconductors right now after a pullback, I thought this could do pretty well. So I just went ahead and jumped in with a small position, and it's up 4 or 5% right now, and I'll probably cut this soon. And then if it breaks the pre-market highs later on this afternoon, I'll take another look, and if it looks really good at the entry point, I'll go ahead and maybe do another day trade into the close. The other one I mentioned this morning was Cuervo, which was setting up a really nice bottoming trade here, and it never really reached the entry point. Never reached the 67.90, I think it was. It almost broke the prior day's highs, but not quite. Had that really good pattern on a daily chart, and it just didn't reach the entry point, and then it pulled back here. So no trade on that, but O'Reilly, I don't know if I mentioned that pre-market, but this is a higher price stock here, and generally I don't trade this bottoming pattern on these higher price names, but it looked really good at the entry point, and so I thought, you know what, above 180 here, sure, why not? So went ahead and jumped in, went up about 2%, and again, before earnings season kicks off tomorrow, I thought, well, I may as well just take that 2%, 1.5%, 2%, just book that profit and call it a day. And the other trade I took today was on VRX, and this is in a real strong uptrend after a very long, painful downtrend in the stock. It's finally getting above its 200-day moving average, and if I can look at a daily chart here, you've got this, sort of bull flag pattern almost. It had this bull flag here. It started to break out, but then pull back. And so I took that off near the entry point. But then it form this other flag. If you can look at a 10-minute chart with me here, and there's a 30-minute chart here. Is go back a little further here, and you can see this downtrend. Let's go with an hourly chart so you can see that a little better. And draw a trend line, and you can see what I was looking at here. And we'll just draw this trend line here, approximately there. And you can see it's it's breaking out of that and then holding that that first consolidation and then making a higher high after a higher low. So that tells me that the trend is going back to the upside. And I thought, well, it's pulling back after a strong move in the morning, coming back to test this former high here. That seems to be holding. I got in right around here and put the stop below here. And so far, nothing's really happened with that. And, I'll give it a little more time and probably cut it, this afternoon if it doesn't go anywhere. So, yeah, that's about it, really. And AOI is still holding up here. Watch it for a breakout this afternoon above 80 this afternoon. It may make another run and go higher. So we'll be watching that for that. And given that it's holding its gap and not turning over after the open, tells me that it's poised to trend higher in the days and weeks ahead. So you look for that. I'll look at that stock for other good entry points on a daily chart and going forward. So, all right, that about wraps it up, and I will talk to you in the near future.